Welcome back to Part 2, Bullying in the Age of Technology. The Center for Disease Control uses the term electronic aggression to describe violence that occurs electronically. Cyberbullying is harassment using technology. It can include social networking sites such as MySpace, Facebook, and Twitter. Bash boards and voting or polling booths are also used to harm. So, what is cyberbullying? Cyberbullying is referred to online social cruelty or electronic bullying. Children and youth can cyberbully each other by email, instant message, text, or digital imaging messages sent on cell phones, through web pages, blogs, chat room discussion groups, and other communication technologies. A cyberbully does not have to be more powerful than the target. They can act just once. They are restricted to the use of written words and images. They need no immediate feedback or satisfaction, and most would not even risk this type of bullying in person. They feel they're shielded by anonymity, and they may act in unexpectedly coarse and cruel ways. Cyber threats are either direct threats or sending distressing materials that raise concerns that a person may be committing an act of violence against someone else or themselves. It is estimated that 1 out of 25 youth today is self mutilating or cutting on themselves. In Oklahoma, suicide is the second leading cause of death for children ages 10 to 24. This is a serious problem, and many of the attempts and completions have been attributed to being bullied or harassed or threatened. Technology can be misused. It can create bullies who would never harass face to face. It does seem to inspire a new degree of brutality. It can instantly recruit an audience of bystanders. These messages that are sent are global and irretrievable. It does make tracking and responding more difficult. It adds a new hesitation for reporting for fear of restrictions of the use of technology, which is a major reason that children may not tell parents or guardians that they are being cyberbullied for fear of being restricted from using the internet or their cell phone. And unfortunately, this type of bullying can create or support a whole new set of social norms. And what are these social norms? Well, one is I can get away with it. I can hide and act like someone else. Or everybody else is doing this. It's just a game. It's a joke. Or I'm invisible, so is the other person. Or online is just another world. Or I can do something online that I can't do in person. It isn't my fault. I didn't start it. I just send it on. I may not be big or popular at school, but I know how to use a computer. Or the thought is, I can't get caught. Recent studies on the next slide, you'll note the average 13 to 17-year-old currently sends more than 2,000 text messages per month. Many teachers, counselors, and parents will think that that is a low number. 2/3 of all teens are using text messaging. The average age to own a cell phone for the first time is age 9. The average age to borrow a cell phone is age 8. By age 12, 3/4 of our children have their own cell phone, and 43%, according to the Wired Safety Survey, have said they have been victims of cyberbullying. More studies show that teens are taking pictures with their camera phones, and more than half of the parents don't apply parental controls offered by service providers. There's new online jargon that has appeared: cyber slang, electronic language, geek speak, high-tech lingo, hybrid shorthand, net speak, and we strongly suggest that teachers and parents avail themselves of ways to read these cyber messages, and one website is netlingo.org. If you look on this slide, we've put several text messages or examples of text messages on the slide. And we'd like to give you a moment just to go through and see how many that you can identify on your own or with your staff. The next slide will tell you the answers or how to decipher these texts. There are different forms of cyberbullying. They may be sending mean, vulgar, or threatening messages or images, posting sensitive or private information about someone, especially without their permission, or pretending to be someone else in order to make that person look bad. Dr. Nancy Willard of cyberbully.org, who has done extensive research, has also included this is intentionally excluding someone from an online group. How can cyberbullying affect schools? Think about some of the situations where children have had access to each other overnight with texting, checking their emails, and going to their social network sites. And some rumor or some information has been put out, and it comes into your classroom the next morning with or without your knowledge. Obviously, this can upset a learning environment, concentration, or even dealing with the effects of what was sent overnight. The next slide talks about the possible effects of cyberbullying. The children who were cyberbullying victims had the highest rates of anxiety, depression, and school absences. The children that were not involved with cyberbullying had the highest self-esteem, higher grades, and the fewest symptoms of health problems. The next slide talks about female aggression. By age 11, girls have undergone a drastic shift in the way they relate to others. Some are using more conscious manipulation, such as spreading gossip and rumors. Even more physical aggression is seen at this age. Girls often settling matters of jealousy and revenge among their peer groups and their cliques by punching and fighting. There's a new term for this. It's called RA, relational aggression. This term was developed in the 90s by Dr. Nikki Crick, who has done research in this area. RA refers to a type of emotional violence and bullying behaviors that are focused on damaging an individual's social connections within their peer group. Gossiping and starting rumors are two of the most famous ways. And then we need to talk about sexual harassment. As research has shown us that bullying does begin in the early years. It can be preschool and elementary grades, greatly increases by middle school, and slightly decreases in high school, but it can become a different kind of bullying, and often it is sexual harassment. So what are examples of sexual harassment? Making suggestive comments and gestures, showing sexual notes, pictures, graffitis, even spreading rumors about sex or sexual encounters, whether true or not, touching or grabbing of body parts, demanding sexual acts or assault, including rape, and posting, email, or texting unwanted sexually exploited materials. What are the effects of sexual harassment? A victim may have a strong feeling of fear, anger, or powerlessness, lose self-confidence. You might see a lowering of grades, withdrawing from friends, signs of depression, isolation, mistrust, or even hypervigilance. What can a school do about sexual harassment? Some of the advice you may give if a student does have the courage to report to you that they are being sexually harassed is up front to tell the harasser to stop or to talk to people you entrust to enlist their help. Obviously, talking to the Title IX coordinator of your school. It's wise to make a list of incidents and locations. Keeping notes, pictures, emails, or text messages to use or to give to the school administrator to use for investigation. Keeping a track of where and when things happen, who was there, were there witnesses, and how you felt. Perhaps a student could write a letter or email to the harasser. Describe the behaviors that you considered sexual harassment, how they made you feel, and that you want it to stop. If a student feels uncomfortable delivering this, they may have an adult deliver this missive or email it, but it's wise to keep a copy. The next topic that's a hot topic today is referred to sexting, which is sending nude or sexually suggestive pictures and accompanying text via cell phones. Even though this message may be sent for someone else, it can be forwarded to anyone. Unfortunately, there are long-term consequences, which could include a felony charge for child pornography or sending and ending up on a sexual predators registry for life. Potential employers often look at online profiles and go to social networking sites. And even college admission offices are checking people online. And we come to another term, cybersexting. This is using built-in cameras or webcams to show live sexual activity. Research has shown that there are more nude and semi-nude photos that young people are sending of themselves to their friends. In one research study, 52% of the girls felt it was a sexy present to send to their boyfriends. In this study, 39% of teens sent sexually suggestive text messages or emails to someone. 29% of teens believed that exchanging this type of content was expected to date or hook up. 40% of the teens queried in the 2008 National Teen Pregnancy Prevention Network survey said they sent the pictures as a joke. So what can parents do to prevent cyberbullying? Number one, keep your home computer in an easily viewable place. That means supervise. No child should have internet access in their bedroom, according to the FBI. Talking regularly with your child about their online activities. That means explain what's right, what's wrong, and what the laws are, what's appropriate. Talking to your child to review his or her online communications if you think there's a reason for concern. Installing parental control filtering software or tracking programs, which are usually available free from your internet provider. And if some type of cyberbullying or harassment occurs, keeping evidence of the cyberbullying for authorities, which means reporting. What can school districts do? Number one, all staff need to know the bullying and cyberbullying prevention policy of their school district, which also refers to our Oklahoma law. This must include cell phone communications and the consequences for its misuse. Making social contracts with students on telecommunication use of the equipment in the school. Considering using student pledges, staff pledges, or even parent pledges for anti-bullying. Offering educational resources to students, staff, and parents. And at the State Department of Education's Safe and Drug-Free School website, we have many free resources available and a resource guide that can be easily downloaded. Schools can also enforce school policy with consequences and keep parents informed. Some best practices for prevention at school would be incorporating a comprehensive prevention program which includes cyberbullying messages and doing this in a school-wide bullying prevention effort, even involving the community. Schools need to assess cyberbullying. You could use an anonymous survey to determine the prevalence, look for age and gender trends, and collect detailed information through informal small groups or group forums. Obviously, schools need to provide staff training for all staff, including support staff, and this training should be in-depth for administrators, counselors, and media specialists. Some other best practices for prevention by schools would be developing clear rules, sharing these rules with students, staff, and parents. Require a signature on your rules or your school policies and the date that they were reviewed. There are good model policies out there available through the State Department of Education and also through the U.S. Department of Justice. Teachers can use a few minutes a day to spend class time to talk about cyberbullying, or some have used class meetings on a weekly basis to discuss bullying and peer relationships. Use your students as experts. Youth involvement and leadership sends an important message. Peer-to-peer engagement is effective. Schools can build strong parent-school relationships by keeping parents educated and informed on what we're doing in the prevention area. Host parent programs, parent university nights, invite in speakers, show videos, offer a discussion afterwards. Post information on your school website. Distribute printed information on bullying, including the most recent bullying website from the federal government at www.stopbullyingnow.hrsa.gov or bullyinginfo.org. Designate a school contact person to assist parents with their concerns. We must also talk to our youth. We need to discuss consequences with them, legal issues, the effect of humiliation, reputations that could be harmed, emotional harm that could be caused, and possible suicide. They need to know school policy, what are the parental rules and expectations, and they need to have a clear understanding of the state and federal laws. If a child is being cyberbullied, what can you advise the child or youth to do? Number one, never respond to the message sender. Report it as soon as possible to a trusted adult. If there is evidence, keep that available. Save or print this so that you can give this to the school administrator who is investigating the report. And of course, you can block the sender. Some schools use the iCard strategies. This was developed by author Allison Bowen, author of Living Out Loud. She suggests these statements be on a card on every computer, such as, I am responsible for my behavior on the net. I will stop and think before I click or send. I will consider others' feelings before I post or send a message. I will never give out my personal information or another's information. I will not respond or engage in negative or mean behavior online. I will tell my parents or an adult if I receive a mean message, threat, or inappropriate solicitation. There are several internet safety programs for middle schools and high school students, and you'll see on the next slide the information and contact phone number and website for WebWise Kids and for iSafe America. Both of these are very useful tools in teaching internet safety, predator safety online, and bullying and cyberbullying safety. The next section we will talk about when we rejoin is the acts of school bullying prevention in the Oklahoma law books.